Right button. Thanks. Cool. President Peter, fellow members, special guests, today I'd like to take you on a journey through forecasts. How accurate are they? So just before we start, the goal of the Sergeant session is to raise $500, and I'm hoping with the injection of foreign cash into the club today that we'll hit that target easy. I think I can account for $25, can't I, Martin? Yeah. Right. So the intention today is to take you through some of the more cliched, ridiculous forecasts. You know them, you've heard them. We're just going to go through those quickly. Then there's a more serious part inside, and we'll finish off with a couple of cliches. The idea is, can you guess who some of these ridiculous forecasts come from? And we're going to start with this one. Who do you think said that? Muldoon? Right, it was actually Margaret Thatcher. So if you don't know, if you didn't know that, could you please make a donation to the fund? Right, for this quote, who do you think said that? I see no good reasons why the views given in this volume should shock the religious sensibilities of anyone. Probably Lord Buren. Lord Buren? Right. No, it was Charles Darwin after he wrote The Origin of Species. So if you got that right, fair enough. If you didn't, please make a donation. Okay, then maybe they weren't as cliched or as obvious. Let's try a couple more. So who said the coming of the wireless era will make war impossible because it will make war ridiculous? Who's that? Well done, Stephen. You're exempted. The rest of you, cough up, please. Well done, well done. And the last of the cliched ones before we go a little bit more serious, and who said democracy will be dead by 1950? No, I didn't know this guy, but John Langdon Davies in a book called A Short History of the Future in 1936. So there you go. So these are some of the cliched forecasts that you've come across. And what's interesting about these cliched forecasts is that they've made us complacent. We've laughed at them and thought, well, they're some of the more high-profile, ridiculous ones. The rest must be okay. I'm here today to destroy that view that you might have. So I'd like to talk to you about a guy called, some of you may have come across him, his name's Philip Tetlock. And he did a book, he published a book in 2005 based on 82,000 predictions across a range of disciplines and from 284 so-called experts. You'll find out why he called them so-called experts in a second. And so what do you think some of his findings may have been? Well, here's four interesting findings. See if you can absorb these as we go. The first one, that's him there by the way, a Canadian. And the first one is the experts did no better than a control group of non-experts. Right? So that's evidence, that's facts. That's facts-based. The second one was their predictive powers failed to do better than random chance. So he did a randomiser and they still didn't beat a random generated machine. He also figured out, obviously the inference from that is that they were basically guessing. And this one was my favourite. My favourite of the four is this one. The more famous and renowned, the more wrong they were. Very sobering. So if you want to look into him a bit more, he's quite an interesting guy. He's published quite a number of books and he now currently runs the Good Judgment Project. So it's a multi-year study on how well or how not well we do our forecasts. So I also have done a little bit of research on my own. I've gone through and listened on TV when people claim that they forecast the recession or they forecast this. I've gone in and actually tried to verify their claim. On each and every single person, I've found that their claim was possibly true, but their predicted range was so wide that they actually proved to be right. But the range was so wide. They didn't make a specific forecast, they made a very, very wide forecast. And therefore felt that they were right. I was raised by a Jehovah's Witness mother. The Jehovah's Witnesses on 3 occasions have specified the end of the world as being 1975, 1992 and 1996. Following their last failed forecast, my mum informed me very easily that they now predict it will happen sometime in the next 1,000 years. That's forecasting for you. Now, what's his name? Philip Tetlock was inspired by a Greek, what would you call him, a war poet maybe, called Archilochus, who, that's him there, who came up with a sentence in one of his writings: "The fox knows many things, the hedgehog one big one." And so basically, Philip Tetlock, using that, he basically said there are two types of forecasters that you'll meet. And so you'll meet the hedgehogs. They're the guys and girls who've got that one big grand central theory, and they won't be swayed from it. And they base their forecasting on their belief in that one grand theory. Whereas the fox is the person who's very sceptical about these grand theories and will go to multiple sources and look for some truth in there. And so his recommendation is that we go with the fox. The hedgehog forecaster is of no value. The hedgehog forecaster has caused a lot of issues in the past. So if you want to explore that a bit more, you know the name, Philip Tetlock, and you can have a read about that. Just to back up his views, there was some research done in 2009 based on some forecasts as to how many people would be employed in the US at the in the next year as the crash kicked in. And so what I'd like you guys to do is guess how close or how far they're away. So have a guess. So they were trying to predict a year from 2008, when the economy tanked in the US, how many people would be employed. How far do you think these professional forecasters were out by?
7 million under.
7 million under? No. They actually 7 million people over. They thought 7 million more people would be employed than they really were. So that just gives you an example. Sorry?
It's okay.
Oh, you're trying to...
I was just saying, to me that's 7 million under.
Oh, okay, they exaggerate. Oh, okay, fair enough. Okay, no, yeah. Well, it was about the year ahead employment figure. If you read it carefully. Out. Anyway, let's finish on a couple more cliched ones. Jeff's getting uncomfortable because of where he works, so here we go. So stock prices have reached what looks like a permanently high plateau. Irving Fisher in October 29, 3 days before the stock market crash. Right, another one, you will be home before the leaves have fallen from the trees. Kaiser Wilhelm to the German troops in August 1914. So that was wrong. A couple more modern ones. Y2K is a crisis without precedent in human history. An idiot from the Byte magazine in 1998. And finally, there's no chance that the iPhone is going to get any significant market share. No chance. Steve Ballmer from Microsoft. Okay? But can I share with you my favourite one? Check this out. That's the worst one, I reckon. What's going on in there? Vietnam War. Newsweek. And for the tourist who really wants to get away from it all, safaris in Vietnam. A prediction for holidays in the late 60s by the Newsweek magazine. Thank you very much.